What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Stillwater. This film is directed by Tom McCarthy. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming in next. If you like any of these videos, awesome, hit that like button, as well as comment below on any video that you watch, including this one. So Stillwater is this story about a guy named Bill Baker, who of course is played by Matt Damon. He is a very much of a type from Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's a construction worker, and basically he lives close to his mother, and he also has a small problem. His small problem is his daughter Allison, who's played by Abigail Breslin, is in prison. But the fact that she's in prison isn't the problem. It's the fact that she was convicted in Marseille, France, and is currently jailed in France. So he is not a very rich man, but he constantly takes trips, thanks to his mother, to France to keep him check, keep an eye on his daughter. His daughter, of course, tries to convince him that she is innocent. She did not kill her ex-lover. And in the process, for most of this movie, he lives in France, and he ends up becoming friends with this young girl named Maya, as well as the mother, who's played by Camille Cottin. And it's basically his journey of what it's like for the sins of the father to tack onto the sins of the daughter, how family is related by blood, and so on and so forth, and what it's like for somebody to go and try and free their kin, their loved ones, their family. And of course, it shows us the beautiful nature of France itself. And so with that said, this movie is directed by Tom McCarthy, who of course had gained a lot of attention for doing Spotlight, which I consider one of the best dramas in the last 10 years. Well written, well directed, well paced, great acting, very disturbing in its content, but has a great payoff in the end. And so to do a movie like this, which is loosely based off the Amanda Knox story, it seems up in his wheelhouse. It's another kind of legal-ish drama with some really kind of interesting characters and dynamics and so on and so forth, at least from what I read, because it premiered, I think, at like Telluride or Venice or whatever film festival it premiered at. So I was really intrigued. I had heard about the story before. I found it intriguing that Matt Damon and Tom McCarthy wanted to work together. But the question remains, does Tom McCarthy have it in himself to do another just great drama in general, or is this like The Cobbler with Adam Sandler, which was really bad? And the thing I will say about this movie is Matt Damon, of course, once again, very good in the movie. He's another Oscar-worthy performance. He's a father that has a very stereotypical side to him when it comes to being someone from the country. He's very polite when he talks to people, calling them sir and ma'am. He's a guy that definitely looks like he's a construction worker with the plaid shirts and the beard and the ball cap and glasses, stuff like that. So when he's walking through France and not able to understand the language, he definitely feels like a fish out of the water. He feels very much like an American in a lot of aspects. So there's a lot of kind of they're poking a little bit at the American economy, the American system, or the American ideology when it comes to how we are viewed from other countries and so on and so forth. But it's also a movie that allows him to kind of grow and go past, because he's a father that wasn't, was very stereotypical, where he wasn't there for his daughter, so his daughter moved to France to be away from his family and stuff like that. And the young girl, Maya, who is doing her first role, is really good in this movie. You can tell Tom McCarthy works well with children. And of course, Camille Cottin, who plays the mother, is also pretty good in this movie. The way she handles herself, the way she kind of grows onto the Bill Baker character, and so on and so forth. And of course, we have Abigail Breslin, who does some pretty great work in this movie. I don't think she's the strongest she's ever been, outside of like Little Miss Sunshine or something like that. But I think Abigail Breslin as an actress or an actor is one of those people that finds roles that really adhere to her strengths and stuff like that. She does some really powerful work. It's just not the most powerful stuff I've ever seen her in, but this is one of those roles that could sneakily lead to like a supporting Oscar role and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. And so when it comes to this movie, for the most part, I was like, it's okay, it's fine. I think what happened was the first 2/3 of this movie, or at least the first 2/4 of this movie, were actually quite compelling. I thought the reasons Matt Damon and what he was doing felt really justified, felt really earnest and honest. How Matt Damon kind of explores this world, how he kind of throws himself into it, how Abigail Breslin's character works into the story, and just everything around it, and how at loss Matt Damon's character feels in the story. But there's a certain part in this movie where it becomes almost like a thriller in a lot of ways, where I kind of was a little lost for words words with what I was watching. It leads to an ending, which is fine if it had been kind of as well structured and a little more strong when it came to that part when it just kind of turns on itself. I would have been a lot happier watching the movie, but it just started kind of falling into some tropes I didn't really care for. It gave Matt Damon some characterizations that I really didn't like, and it leads into some revelations that aren't really that compelling in a lot of aspects, and it becomes a little samey, a little paint by numbers. I say paint by numbers a lot in a lot of movies because I feel like sometimes that these directors and writers really kind of trope themselves when it comes to writing. But overall, I think the movie is still interesting and compelling. I just think it starts falling apart as a certain event happens. They get to the point where the story eventually reaches the cliff and it starts going down as the movie starts concluding upon itself. But it still is enough to say that Matt Damon and Abigail Breslin and Camille Cottin and so on and so forth do really nice work in this movie. There's some interesting observations with the court legal system, which once again, Tom McCarthy's really known and really good at doing at this point, apparently. So I really give him a lot of credit on that. And the one thing I haven't mentioned is it's a very beautiful city to watch. Moussa is really nice to look at. Really pretty, really old style, really old school. The streets really narrow. The ghetto is really interesting, and just it's a movie that is very beautiful. Cinematography is very nice. The music is very similar to Spotlight in a lot of ways. But overall, I think this is a middle ground for Tom McCarthy. I think Spotlight is going to be always a hard justification to, kind of take off from. So he's made that like really great film like Ben Affleck did. Some really interesting films, and I think he's going to have a great career, but I think this is a little bit of a stumbling block. But still, if you want to see some great, compelling performances, it's definitely worth a watch. So, but with that said, that is going to be my take on Stillwater. Thank you so much for watching. In the comments below, what did you think of Spotlight? Are you looking forward to seeing this movie? What is your favorite Matt Damon performance? All that good stuff. But if you like what you see on this channel, hit that subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like any of these videos, awesome. Hit that like button, and as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.